Hi, back for another installment. If you didn't see parts 1 and 2, please go back and check them out. Today I'm talking about potential, particularly our children's ability to reach their full potential. Now, before you become a famous writer, you're just a writer. Before you're a successful millionaire entrepreneur, you're just a small business owner. You start small and then you learn how to become great. I believe that we all have something we're good at, that we could become great at, given the opportunity. And the opportunity is all to do with the culture within the home. We need to recognize that failure and disappointment are part of the learning process. I think we really need to normalize that in our lives. How often have we tried to minimize our children's disappointment by maybe encouraging them not to get their hopes up? Or maybe we've put too much emphasis on the failure than the success. In other words, when they're making a sandwich and it's making a mess all over the kitchen, we're thinking more about the inconvenient cleanup than we are about the fact that they're learning to cater for themselves. We have to normalize and make it okay to fail along the way to greatness. No one gets from beginner to great without going through all those hardships and all the mistakes. It's just a normal part of the process, but we seem to shy away from it. We seem to be really afraid to let our children experience disappointment. So one of the ways that you can get around this is by changing the victory conditions. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at the success criteria. To put this into context for myself, I tried to avoid disappointment all my life by not recording my music. I didn't want to get my hopes up. No one makes it big in the music industry. Maybe there's no point even trying. I didn't know where to start. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because for sure, no one makes it big in the music industry if they haven't recorded a single song. And yet, the potential for disappointment was huge. I could record a song and put it out, and nobody would listen to it. I cannot affect the outcome. I cannot influence what happens to my music once it gets out in the world. But I decided that my job wasn't to receive a certain number of plays or a certain amount of money. My role in this was just simply to do my best to record my music and get it out there. So I set myself a victory condition, which was to record and release 10 songs last year. And I found out how hard that was, because every time I had a deadline looming and a song half finished, I would be hearing the negative voice in my head saying, well, that's not very good. That's never going to go anywhere. What's the point? And so it's quite hard to work through all that failure and potential disappointment and actually show up to do the thing that you said you were going to do. But I did it, by the way. I did release my 10 songs, and it felt good because I was victorious in my own eyes, regardless of how many people actually listen to my music. Now, what we're modeling for our children here is that the struggle and the keeping on going when the going gets tough and the failure and the disappointment, they are a normal part of the journey. So instead of playing small and just going for tiny achievable goals where you think, well, I can easily get that, I'm afraid to fail, so I'll only do something that I know I can succeed at. There's no growth in that. So let's encourage our children by showing them what it takes and normalizing the fact that when you're going to show up and do something that is a bit more ambitious and worthwhile, it can be really painful, it can be really hard, and disappointment won't kill you. We can survive the disappointment, and beyond that is the satisfaction of achieving something greater and more meaningful for our lives.